Alright. Just want to make sure this is working. Alright, just trying to make sure this is working. Oh, yep, it's working. Alright. So for this stream, I think that what we're gonna cover is we're gonna cover the random class, and we're gonna try to get into a little bit of parsing, and we're gonna try to get into more into exception handling before web development. And then what I'm going to do after this is we're going to rapidly get into web development, because we need to rapidly get the MVCap website built. So along the way, you're going to see, we're going to work through some learning material up till building it, and also I'm going to build it. And, we're going to kind of see like a website being built and the process and everything. And yeah, that's for now. I want to jump too much ahead. So I'm just going to change to another window. So essentially what the random class is. Let's just read the definition. Says the instance of the class is used to generate a stream of pseudo-random numbers. Class uses a 48-bit seed, which is modified using a linear. I don't know, but I would just say this: a better definition is just that it gives your programs the ability to use random numbers, because it's kind of like a human can kind of think of a random number, but a computer, it's almost like you would have to calculate a random number. How's it going to do that? So how you have to think about it is there has to be some kind of tool that you can use for that. And basically what it would do is, from our perception, it would produce some form of a random number. And what it would do is then usually it'll be a decimal, and then you can multiply that correctly to make it seem like it can make any other number random. So let's say you were trying to make a dice game, a game of dice, like you don't know how it's going to roll. Then you can have some kind of random number in there to generate either 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, and it'll actually generate it. So let's do that. For one moment. Guess let's create a new project called random. Yeah, so usually what I want to do is review code in order to, because it's like I know how it works, but I can still you can still look at other code and then use sorry. You can use other code as like a guideline for how your code should be. So I'm not sure if there's any examples of a rolling dice one. This is an example. So this is a Stack Overflow. A lot of times when you have any kind of issue with your program, what you can do is it's almost like Google for for programming, because you can, if you have like something you're running into, you can just search it on Stack Overflow, and then you can find some other article about another programmer going through that exact same thing. So that's kind of what we're doing with this. See if they actually answered it. Yeah, no, I've never seen it built like that before. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, this one kind of goes into a good article about it. Yeah, and actually, it's just someone in the chat mentioned GitHub. I'm gonna actually say the plan. The plan to get into GitHub, I want to make it so that. So I'm gonna do this stream basically, and then after this is gonna be web development, and then after web development, we're going to after a little bit of web development, I want to kind of make it so that we have a lot of examples, and then that'll be using GitHub. So then then I kind of want to make it so that if they're like basic programs that people other people can make their own version, whatever it is. And as far as like what GitHub is, essentially it's kind of like a cloud system where you can upload all your code to, and not kind of have like a bunch of versions where it's like if you have like two people working on the same essay, it get confusing, because then it'll be like, which version did you save, and it'll be like a bunch of versions. Whereas if there's kind of like one version, it's like there's one version in the cloud, GitHub, and then you'll have two choices to either pull it or push it. Now, pulling means you're downloading the code and you're working on your version of it, and then when you're done with it, you push it into the cloud, and then that'll be a version. And then if the program decides to adopt that version, then they will, But yeah, we'll learn more about that. But for this, let's just look at it. So first thing, you want to import it. So let's just start the program. All right, one moment. So the first thing is to import it. So I'm going to explain what that is. So we're gonna get more into detail about classes, but what you need to know here is it's importing. It's like importing a tool. So now this entire program can use whatever is pre-programmed in the programming language. So all this stuff is pre-programmed in Java that we'll be able to use if we import it. So next, the first thing we do is have the right imports. Let's see the second thing. I want to make it so we can see both. Alright, so trying to adjust here. So, alright, this works. So, what we see here is, so now we can make a random variable. Saying, but we can create our own variable. We'll call it rand or rand1 equals new random. So this is just like creating any kind of variable. Like if we were to create a string variable, it would be string name. But here, usually we would just have name. We could use Ryan as a name. But this is also another way to do it. Hope this works properly. But is you can create it this way. This is how any variable is created. Or if you have an int, say age, say someone's 30, equals new int I think this one would require the number in. Yeah, but actually, so any variable is kind of created this way. Anyway, so that's what this is. So then it says to print out the value. Okay, let's try this. How about we just make it print out a random number? This number is random. That's the random variable. It's going to be the random variable, so it's going to be rand1. Oh, we're not in the code. Hold on. Rand1 and next int. So we'll see what that does. Okay, hold on. Just gotta change the view. So, following the other code, we have system.out.println. This number is random, and it's going to be either 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5, pretty much. So if you look, actually I don't know if it goes up to 6. But if we do, we could put a 2 in here, and then it's either going to be 1. Oh, it's actually going to be either 0 or 1. 0, 1, 0, 1. So that's kind of how this random number works, and so maybe in check and think of a random scenario. So ints and strings, that's a type of variable. We kind of went to data types onto that. Yeah. The die does go into only 1 to 6. So I think if we so it's kind of like 6, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. You'd align to factor the die from 1. Oh, actually, I don't know what you could do, actually. If you wanted 1 through 6, you just add 1. Because it'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So this will be how's a 51? Oh, hold on. Actually, I think what I should do is because I don't know if it's adding 1. Hold on. Or 1 plus, do it on the side. Hold on. Okay, let's gotta figure something out. I think that if we just make another variable, that this should work. Yep. So yeah, so this would be 0 through 5, but then if you add a 1, it'll make it so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, and if it's between print and print line, let's just see. Well, actually, the real difference is if I were to space it out, you would be able to have it where you have this line display on the first side. So it's kind of like pressing enter. So then it's like you would say this number is random, then someone just slammed enter, then whatever is next is going to be displayed on the next line. So actually, let's try this to understand print lines. So let's take away the print line. So no matter what, even though they're on separate lines, they all get smushed on this one line. So that's the difference. So yeah, so in this case, it's kind of like a basic dice system because it'll tell you if it's 1 or 6. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of a random program to make where we could have a number. I'm actually going to try to make a random program just to get the understanding. Oh. I'm going to call it the weather. Going to make a new window. So I'm going to make that new window visible. Alright, so make sure we see do you see the new program? Oh. Alright, yeah, you do. Hold on. Alright. So, we're going to make 10 possibilities of the weather. Whatever we think of. 10 possibilities. And then we're going to have an if-then statement saying, displaying the message of what the weather is. So, at the very beginning, I'm just going to go back to the random code. Just going to make sure that the original one gets imported. Alright, so we want this program to do which we'll type right there, is this will be a weather reading program that displays to the user what the weather is. Going to be like tomorrow. So this again, this is a comment where you can write notes that don't get executed. So this isn't a part of the code. This is just a message, that the programmer can read. So you have to use a random variable of some sort. Let's make another variable called weather. Let's make it equal 0. to my phone. So start it at 0. And if weather equals 0, actually I'll call this weather value. Equals 1. And we're going to go up to, actually it's going to go up to about 4. So these are else if statements. So this is going to be 2. This is going to be 3. And let's add one more for 4. We'll have another string. Called message. And what that'll do is that will turn into whatever it ends up being, whether it's 0, whether it's 1, whether it's 2, whether it's 3. So let's say for 0, the message is going to be, it is sunny. Then let's say in this scenario, it's raining. Let's copy and paste this. Next one will be, there is a storm. Other could be, it is windy. Or in the last one, it could be, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of something else. Maybe it's hail. I'm not sure how to spell hail. Hold on. Just checking my spelling. Yeah, it's spelled that way. It's hail. Actually, I just said snowing. It's snowing. That's easier. Okay, so make sure I'm seeing this. Alright, so everything's added up. So we have the weather value is going to be, if it's either this, or this, there's going to be either sunny, rainy, there's a storm, but we want to make it so that who decides this? We want to make it so that there's a random number to decide this. So that's what you would do. So actually, I think I guess random. So then ultimately what we want to do is we want to make the weather value equal to whatever this random number is. So here is declared. Here, hold on just a second. We would want to make the weather value equal to rand1 dot nextInt, and how many possibilities? It could be 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So it would be I believe it would be 5, because it would be everything below 5. So then just print system.out.println, and we'll print out message. We'll see if that works. Alright, it is sunny. Let's try it again. It's sunny again. Oh, that's because so it's still reading it's still staying at 0. I think I know why. Okay, it's raining. There is a storm. It is sunny. So this shows that this randomness works. So I want to kind of explain why this didn't work when it was here. So why would that same code not work if it's here? Where all it did was it said it is sunny, which showed that the weather value was 0, but it's only 0 because it was originally set to 0. So, I mean, that's not what what it's supposed to do. It's like it's supposed to be initially set to 0, and then it was supposed to adjust to the random number, and then it was supposed to tell you what the weather was. So that's because all of the time where that went on was here, where you first create the random variable, and then you set that integer to that random variable that's in between, 0 and 5. It's going to be 0, 1. It's going to be within these. It's going to be within these numbers, and then you print out message. That makes it so that doesn't happen, because if it's all the way here, all that's gonna happen is it's gonna be 0, and it's gonna be 0, and then only until it gets here it's going to change the weather value. But if you're changing it after it goes through this, then it's going to miss it. So I'm trying to think of a way I can show that. Hold on. So let's try this. What is the weather value? Or what is weather value? And it'll show what weather value is. We're going to do it here. And we're going to do a read before the test. So this is before the if statement. And this is after. So, actually I just want to make sure it's spacing. So at first, it's 0, and then it's 0 after. This time it's 1. This time it's 3. So, so for this, even though the weather value is 3, it's not going, this if statement's not going to care because it came after. So that's why you have to do everything in order. Because it started at 0. So it's basically saying this. So this output is spitting out this code. Where it says what is the value, but it's before the if statement. So all it knows at that time is it's 0. Then, after, we get to this if statement, and then this is for this line of code. So, what is the weather value? What is the weather value? Weather value is 3. This is after. But still, it's not going to change the message. So it'll always be a generic 0. Yep. So I think this one's going to be for that. I'm going to go live again for parsing and more into exception handling, and then we're going to go into web development.